things underway. Here come the cars, right, drool. Absolutely stunning entry, and this is only a snapshot of it because Sam, as Graham was saying, we've lost over the weekend. 911 GT1 Porsche, Chrysler Viper. Every GT grid should have a Chrysler Viper on it because that was another great iconic car, one of the Belmondo cars. There's the Maserati MC12, the JMB car.
And oddly enough, behind it is the DBR9 in the Vitaphone colours that replaced the Maserati that wasn't allowed to enter. That's the Extracker racing car.
Exactly,
yes. 2K Racing Ferraris, Riley and Scott. The Keeler, the 60 car there, very interesting car, unique car, based on a chevron. Looks a little Riley and Scott, isn't. Toyota Supra behind there, that's a GT2 car, raced in France. Raced actually in the very first GT race at Bahrain in 2004 as well.
Oh, that's right, that catch-all race that
yes, it did.
Richard Chamberlain's Pretend 935 did. Indeed. And things like that. Yes, I've forgotten about that now.
45 car we had a quick shot of there. That is Dario Franchitti in one of the DBR9s. We'll wait and see whether or not. I don't think Darren Turner's car is going to make it. I think we were hearing.
Yes, the more they looked after the prop shaft failure, the more they found. So Francois Perraudot's car has gone. Yes.
Driver error, probably.
Yeah, I would say. I would say driver error for sure.
Yes, yes. It broke is how Darren described it. A bit like small boys say, you know, the football broke the window because you kicked it at the window.
Sean Lynn and the glorious, glorious 2003 Bentley, and Sean, father of Alex Lynn, who's of course in the main race later today in the United Autosports car. Sean himself has raced here in the 24 Hours of Le Mans, and one of a number of beautiful historic cars that he races, and races well.
Yeah, there's quite a collection. James Cottingham then, fresh from a win at the British Grand Prix. He won the second of the two pre-66 GT races. He's another very versatile historic racer, but actually this year has proved to be pretty handy in a modern-day GT3 car. He did a couple of races at the start of the season for Ram Racing. There is the Sam Hancock, Nicolaus Ditting Aston Martin. Now, Sam started it yesterday. We haven't been given a starting driver list, but I would anticipate...
I've just received it. Which was the car you were looking for?
Sam Hancock and Nicolaus Ditting.
No, it definitely is not Sam. I spoke to Sam yesterday, so Nicolaus Ditting, it will be in that car.
All race?
All race.
OK, so it's one race each.
Yes.
But that another example of one of the fine GT cars there. Nicolaus Ditting confirmed on the screen. Martin Short just up the road ahead. What about Royal Goethe and Stuart Hall's car?
Looking at that one right now, if you give me a moment. It is Royal Goethe starts that car.
OK, right, yesterday. Interesting. And Pierre Bruno and Mark Rostow share number 20 Pilbeam. Now they
had trouble on the outlap, hit the barriers on the outlap, and that car, I think, managed to struggle around it and pitted, but they were the cause of the safety car at the start of the race yesterday.
Right, OK.
So that Pilbeam
is out today.
Was in the stages of being prepared yesterday. Hopefully they didn't find any issues with that. But Mark Rostow and
Pierre Bruno.
Pierre Bruno, of course, the duo in period for that car.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say they are recreating that. Partly Le Mans partnership, but also the International Sports Racing Series, FIA Sports Car John Mangalezzi series, in which they shared cars together.
It should be Pierre Bruno in the red car when that one comes out.
OK.
There is Martin Short in the glorious looking and sounding Dallara. Absolutely amazing piece of kit.
What about 37 for the grid, the Dodge Viper of Gerard Lopez with Eric Ellery to share?
It will and should be Eric Ellery aboard that car.
He's going to start, is he?
Absolutely. And Eric, you know, his period in motorsport came up to and included those with reasonably lengthy memories, the original development driver of the Peugeot 908.
That's right. The Toyota you mentioned, that is another shared car, Mark Loai and Sohail Ayari. Now,
which number is that one?
That would be 61. You can imagine if Sohail Ayari is behind the wheel, it should be very, very quick indeed.
Sohail was always one of the few. Is Sohail that should be in that car? One of the very few drivers, by the way, that has competed in both the Le Mans 24 Hours and the 24 Hour Moto here. Regular competitor on bikes, Sohail, back until very recent years. So we know he is completely clinically insane.
There's Dario Franchitti heading down through Mulsanne Corner, and I think this is getting busier.
Dario's first race here, isn't it? He's never raced here before.
Absolutely right.
Second, because he raced
yesterday. But yes,
first time racing. Good morning here. I'm sorry.
No, you're right.
But you're correct. Yeah. First time race meeting, and I think it's fair to say Dario reasonably excited about this.
Absolutely. Well, as a historian of the sport, you know, he's not somebody that just likes driving cars. He likes the history of it, and so this appeals to him. He will be one of those fans in that part of the paddock, looking at the cars as much as wanting to drive them.
And there it is, the 45 car.
The Porsche was the car really that drove the coach and horses through the GT1 regulations, didn't it? Then along came Mercedes, and you had probably 2 really fantastic years of international GT racing, and then when the manufacturers pulled out, it needed to be salvaged rather.
Into what is a very impressive GT grid, and we started the weekend with 18 GT2 Porsches listed. There's also, as you can see there in the background, 2 or 3 of the 430 Ferraris, including the Virgo Motorsport car for Michael and Sean McInerney, and I think it is the dad and lad back in that car today. I think there's a change. There's the starting grid.
Yes, which is going to have James Cottingham starting on pole position by dint of that best time in the qualifying session. It scrolls through, you pick out 1 or 2 others like Richard Mines, the Hong Kong-based Brit, Max Girardo, another driver with a nice collection of cars these days, Joe Macari in the Maserati MC12. Nick Padmore, if he's the start driver, will be another man to watch, because Nick, very, very quick indeed in all manner of historics and indeed modern minis, but Nick Padmore is one to watch, and as I say, if he is the start driver in that, he should be making some good progress.
Absolutely, and round they come in good order.
Mike Yule's name on the grid as well, and Mike, another Le Mans stalwart, back in the PK Sport Porsche.
And probably the earliest champion we've got here, 1990 in C2, if I remember rightly. He won in Group C2. And was back here into the 21st century aboard the PK Sports Porsches. And, delighted to be back here. In part, by the way, and he'd like me to mention this, I'm sure, this is being done in memory of one of the trio of drivers that raced this car in period. It was himself, it was David Warnock, previous British GT champion, and good friend of mine, and good friend to Daily Sports Car as well. David, I hope you're listening and watching. But in memory of the third man, Stephen Day, who sadly we lost to the evil that is cancer fairly recently. So Mike is racing in memory of his old pal.
Well, we are set to go racing, because the car's now getting themselves into that 2x2 formation. There is perhaps inevitably a straggler, and it's the Ferrari of Pascal Duhamel, which is a long, long way back, but it will eventually get going. Some of the drivers in this are going to be on their own just because of the relative pace of the cars. But what we had yesterday was a very, very fierce fight up at the top of the order, and we're going to have it again here then as they come down towards the chicane. James Cottingham and the cars, of course, in period colour schemes, will be the man to watch. But Sean Lynn, after yesterday's race, we're getting ready to go as well. There was Nicolaus Ditting having to pop out of the traffic to avoid contact. That GT Aston might well drop back in a moment with the prototypes around him, but up towards the timing line they go. The clock starts now, 45 minutes underway. They blast away, and a good getaway made by James Cottingham on the outside line. Mike Newton goes to the inside line and through the middle there, tries to go Florent Moulin. They're side by side for the race lead, but it is James Cottingham then who has the advantage going up towards the Dunlop-Esses for the first time. Moulin dives to the inside there. Cottingham gets forced a little bit wide towards the curb, but he hangs on to the advantage. Moulin second, third is Sean Lynn in the Bentley, trying to keep out of trouble, but the 2 Dalaras going toe-to-toe for the first couple of corners.
Great stuff as well by Manu Collard up the inside there and up into 5th position in the 1997 Porsche 911 GT1.
So Sean Lynn has split the Dalaras, hasn't he? He's got the Bentley up into 2nd place, and Mike Newton coming under attack there as well from Eric Ellery in the Viper. But Ollie, pretty frantic start that.
Yeah, it is, and certainly those prototypes off at the front there, and Cottingham getting a good start. And talking to Darren actually yesterday about how quick that Porsche is at the start, and certainly its straight line speed. It's pretty mighty. I've got the 2 Aston Martins looking to go past the Viper, and it's just wonderful to see these cars out on track. Fantastic.
The first of those 2, a car exported in the day to Brazil. Still has that branding on from the Mias race that it competed in back in the day. But a bit of a battle here between Dario Franchitti and ahead in the 27 car. Who's in that 27 to start? 37. No, sorry, 27 is Nicholas Ditting.
Nicholas Ditting, yeah. As now for 2nd place, the battle is on again between Sean Lynn and the 2nd of the Dalaras there, Florent Moulin. James Cottingham getting away, but Moulin gets up the inside line as they go down the Mulsanne straight. James Cottingham it is then in the advantage at the moment, and just in the nick of time before they get to the yellow flag zone, Moulin goes 2nd at the expense of Sean Lynn. Martin Short 4th, but Sean Lynn backs off a lot more than the race leaders. But now they get to the slow zone, almost an overlap there as Martin Short has to slow right down. And next in the queue, Emmanuel Collard in the Porsche 911 GT1. Now look at this, it's like an early BPR racing part, isn't it, with the early 911 GT2s in the thick of this.
Fabulous stuff. The big whale tail cars, one of the That's a 360 GT2 car. We also saw, by the way, there it is, and that is the Pilbeam in trouble. Mark Rustan, I think. No, that was Pierre Bruno, wasn't it?
Yeah. Right, so they're in the slow zone, which is there because of the barrier damage from the earlier race, but to allow the track workers time to get on with this and get the race on and the timetable still to stick to what it should be. So on the opening lap, we have this slow zone. It's not been triggered by these cars, it's by a previous race, but it keeps everything moving. So James Cottingham, a good start, and at the moment, he is the man in the lead, but Martin Short, there in 4th place. Remember, he's going for that podium, so he's in the right place to attack, isn't he now?
Yes. Like a coiled but slightly rusting spring. Sorry, Martin.
That could be the title of his book, couldn't it? Yeah.
But what a legend he's been for British motorsport, you know, flying the flag at a time when there wasn't a great deal for the UK here at the 24 Hours of Le Mans, and you must have raced with him on the grid a number of times.
Yeah, actually, I think that the year that they finished, or that they were running up in the top 3 or top 4, I was on track here with a Corvette, and certainly they had, you know, a fantastic run going. It was a mighty fast car, and it's great to see it back on track. And Martin's, I think they're back underway outside of that slow zone now, so back up to racing speed.
There you go, trio there in the middle there, David. The Maserati with the Rothko collection, the Golf livery DBR9, and then the 550, the previous product from Prodrive, in a 3-car battle in the middle of that pack.
So James Cottingham then leads the way. And it's good that the car is on track, thankfully undamaged after yesterday, but the water temperature went up and up and up, then it started to leak, and off he went. And James Cottingham, as I say, is a very accomplished driver, but so too is the man that's doing the chasing, Florent Moulin, who we've seen in GT3 cars, for example. Sean Lynn runs 3rd, and then Martin Short 4th. Now, Mike Newton has dropped a long way back, but of course that's a smaller class car, if you like, but he's very, very busy trying to fend off the traffic behind him.
Yeah, it certainly looks like he had a little bit of a problem. He's in the mirrors quite a lot, and the car looks like it's hunting somewhat. Oh, someone off in the gravel. Looks like that's Indianapolis.
That's the Trans Am Mustang, the 28 car.
That's Anna Reid, and that's going to be another slow zone, isn't it, to get that out of the way. So on his first lap, he's put it in the gravel. Through the Porsche curves comes Mike Newton. Here, the aero of the prototype helps him, so he gets away from the traffic. But there are going to be bits of the circuit where next in the queue, the Aston Martin of Nicolas Ditting is going to be catching again. Yeah,
this is going to be quite challenging for the drivers. I mean, they came out of their collection area and did a relatively slow lap behind the pace car, and then they're just gone racing, and they're trying to get everything up to temperature, everything switched on, and then they've had that slow zone, and so it's sort of like you're trying to get everything working and up to temp, but it's going to be a bit of a battle. Track temperature's going to be relatively low. We're early in the morning here. Oh, the Mustang's going again.
Yeah, they got the Mustang out of the gravel. There, another of the early Porsches. That's Heiko Osman's 993 iteration 911 GT2. It's way down the order in 38th place, but you know, drivers enjoying themselves. It's a rare opportunity to race at Le Mans.
Oh, brilliant!
What the hell?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Crack on.
And James Cottingham is cracking on. Look at this, because he's built the gap through the Dunlop S's over there. Florent Moulin in 2nd place, and now Sean Lynn is on the prowl. Here comes the Bentley. Great to see that contrast again, isn't it, between the closed and the open-top prototypes of that time.
Yeah, certainly is, and it's. Is it Sean looking to make a bit of a move? No, he's just pulled out, maybe just get a little bit of air into the rads.
But Martin Short is closing up, isn't he? So as they come now through the chicane, through the first of the chicanes, Martin Short getting a little bit closer, and possibly also thinking, go on, get yourselves together, because if things like this happen, then you could suddenly find yourself gaining a place. And Sean Lynn backed out of that, not sure where the Dallara was going to end up.
Yep.
Moulin saved it well. This, I think, is going to show us the Mustang for the gravel.
Yeah,
it is.
It does. We're back to full green flag racing as well. That slow zone has been removed, so there will be no backing up. The Brno Pilbeam is back out and in front of the leaders here, so this could just back this up a little bit. Leader just goes around the outside through the second chicane. That will have given just a bit of an opportunity for closing up with the pack of 2 behind. Martin Short is closing that gap again as the Trans Am Mustang makes its way back to the pits in front of our commentary position.
Well, Moulin has certainly managed to get things cleaned up after his grassy moment. That looked a bit of a wild ride, and you usually don't keep it out of the barrier there. Once you get sucked onto the grass there, coming out of the S's, you're usually really only going in one spot, and that's in the barrier.
Yeah, Martin Short is getting well wound up now, isn't he? Graham is absolutely right in saying he's a little bit closer. Now he's even closer. So second, third and fourth is the battle pack that's building, and that's going to play into the hands of James Cottingham because he's getting away up front. Of course, now a proper flying lap. You're getting purple sectors as tyre temp and pressures are going up, and the car's now a bit more compliant. Good fight going on here as the Aston Martin, the car of Romain Ballatest and Geoffroy Peter. We'll check in a moment who's at the wheel of it. He's looking for a way through the Porsche traffic. Mike Ewell's fending him off.
He is indeed, the 77 car ahead with an ex-Spanish GT entered 430. The 130 car ahead of those two. Is that the DBR9? It is the DBR9. There was a DBR-S9, a GT3 car with an identical livery in this race as well.
Alan Ruaid's Mustang, I think, got together with Günther Schindler's Porsche because the two of them are being investigated for the incident on the first lap.
In the background behind that group, the two yellow cars and the Aston Martin. You can see the two Peter White Lightning liveried Porsche 911 GT-RS, GT3 RSs. And a great battle here between GT1s of very different eras.
Manu Collard versus Dario Franchitti then, and Dario to the outside line is going to be the inside line for the next sweep through the Porsche curves, and he goes through, yes, so the Aston Martin through on the inside line there, up into 5th place. Dario Franchitti, he may not have raced here up until this weekend, but you wouldn't think it.
No, absolutely, he's committed.
Absolutely.
And it's great to see these cars on the limit.
You look at the way Dario goes and you sort of think, what kept you? You know, why is it now, when you've virtually retired from racing, that you finally come to Le Mans?
A decade between those two cars, if you think about it, which is quite amazing. Both seem very contemporary. 1997, 1997 for the Porsche, around a decade later for the Aston Martin.
There is still something about that Porsche. I know that it divided people's opinion at the time because of what it did to GT1, but it is still a fantastic shape. And Darren Turner was telling us yesterday evening about how committed Manu Collard was in yesterday's race, arriving absolutely Harry Flatters at the first corner.
Yeah, and then he went off and ran wide and used all of the runoff area.
Mike Newton through the traffic here. So number 25, Mike Newton's car is way down in its class at the moment. It's 5th and is currently in 8th place overall. Eric Ellery in the Viper has got on with the job quite nicely and gained ground, hasn't he?
He has indeed, and behind him you can see the first of the Rallian Scots. There's two Rallian Scott Marks 3Cs in this car, in this class. Michelin in the number 14 car, tracking Mike Newton as again. Sean Lynn takes another look at the back of Moulin's Dallara, the glorious trio of V10 engine cars, and the Turbo 8 aboard the Bentley. He does it.
That's a good move. I thought that was going to be a bit deep into the corner, but he managed to slow it down in time, didn't he? Goes through on the inside. So that was a good, brave move.
Yeah, it was. He committed and got it down there and got the thing stopped in time. No lock brakes and nice and clean. This is a great race. The two of them, I think they're going to go back and forward throughout the rest of the 35 minutes.
And now, look, Sean Lynn goes defensive because Moulin gets up the inside of him. Martin Short waiting for dramas to happen ahead of him, but as they get to the second of the chicanes on the inside line, Sean Lynn, and back ahead of him is Moulin. He brakes as late as he dares, and he gets away with it.
Yeah, God, that looks desperately sort of deep. I'm not sure he was going to make it, but he kept it all together. He's not got a great run off, though. I think Sean's going to get him back here.
One of the good things about this, Graham, is these are not only proper cars, but they're properly run, and they are properly driven. You know, these aren't grotty old snotters going round. These are proper cars with proper drivers.
And it shows, doesn't it? I mean, preparation, OK, they're not on contemporary racing rubber, but well matched as well. These guys are pushing and pushing hard. It's great to see it.
So James Cottingham still leads the way, determined to avenge yesterday's defeat when he had that water leak. So he's 1.8 seconds to the good. Martin Short is almost there, but he needs these two to hold one another up. And at the moment, although they're trading places, they're not really holding each other up. They're not losing much time.
No, and Moulin is really committed on the brakes. And you can see that the car's moving quite a lot in the brake zone. So, yeah, he's fighting. He's really fighting. Ooh, another bit of a look there from Sean.
Yes. Shows the nose of the Bentley, just tries to unsettle Florent Moulin a little bit. Martin Short is there in 4th place. 5th still is Dario Franchitti. 6th is Manu Collard. 7th, Eric Ellery. 8th is Mike Newton. In 9th place at the moment is Xavier Michelin. And then to round out the top 10 is the Rallian Scott of Richard Cook. So you're looking here at the fight that's on for 2nd place, Moulin versus Lynn. Now, bearing in mind, we've got the pit stops to factor into all of this as well. So the order is going to shuffle during that mid part of the race.
It was good to see that Martin Short still pressing on. He's got purple sector in that middle sector, and he's staying in touch with that top 3. there's maybe a bit more to come from there. He's maybe just biding his time and waiting to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, they had a clutch drama yesterday, so he had to start from the pit lane. It took them 2 minutes to bleed the clutch, and he missed out on a win by 90 seconds. So, you know, in Martin's mind, he certainly has the pace to be up there. Also, here you can see the Ferrari pressing on, trying to gain ground. That's the car of Heiko Rochman. So they come into Arnage right now, but Nicolaus Dissing is keeping him at bay.
One of the two 2004 liveried cars, the Care Racing cars commissioned by Frederick Dorr, built around road cars at the time. There's Mike Gules just having a bit of a lock-up through the Dunlop chicane. And that is the DBR9, the 57 car, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yep,
the Bellatest car.
That's the GT3 spec car.
Right, now there, 37 Viper. Eric Ellery has got back behind Mike Newton, and he's now trying to keep Xavier Micheron at bay, who takes the dirt and forces the Viper out wide. Crikey. Eric Ellery can be pretty forceful when needs be, but he had his hat nailed on there, didn't he? Because Micheron was coming by. Make your own arrangements.
Yep.
Yeah, it was pretty close.
That's the Riley and Scott raced in period with Jim Matthews, I think, owned that car back in the day.
They always made a great sound, those cars, didn't they? But never had the best of fortunes at Le Mans. But no. Again, of a time. Right, Moulin still hanging on to his second place. He's gapped Sean Lynn a little, and Martin Short's last lap was comparable, but not quicker. So he's there or thereabouts. James Cottingham's advantage is 3.8 seconds at the moment as they come down through the chicane.
Well, second, third and fourth, their last lap times were all within a tenth of a second of one another. So,
well, that's Paul Daniels' Porsche, I fear, it getting in the way. I mean, OK, holding its line. Trouble was the line was not the best for the
bad
leaders.
one.
Yeah. Paul's not an inexperienced driver, but that's not the fastest of Porsches.
First year WC, full season for Paul in GTM. A staunch supporter of contemporary racing and historic racing, but good to see him out there. But that car does look to be struggling.
And what that has done, of course, is now bunched them up again. So you find a back marker at exactly the wrong part of the lap. It's gone against Moulin to a degree, but it certainly helped Martin Short. He's a lot closer now.
It's like he's just slowly reeling them in. He's just biding his time. He's just waiting for everything really to come into the zone. Maybe the pressures are just about getting there now, and he's able to really press on. So he's done another personal best in that first sector. So, you know, I think that everything's just falling into place, hopefully, for Martin.
He came out of kit car racing in the UK, had a spell in Formula First, and then went into Metro Turbos, Rover 216s, Rover Turbos, TVR Tuscans, the British GT with the TVR, and the next step after that was to try Le Mans. And, you know, he's one of the great amateur privateers, ran his own team, got onto the grid. It was a great fairy tale story.
Absolutely. Now, I think we can call it glorious retirement, and pops out and does have the odd race in this Dallara. Yeah. Beautiful car. His pride and joy, as well as his family. It's the Norma there. The LMP 900 Norma goes by. That's the Keeler, isn't it? Yes, it is.
Yes, like Julie's car.
But behind that, the yellow Lola, the 2005 Le Mans Series winning, class winning car. Berridge.
Oh, the Elf Rising, the Porsches, that goes through in the UCOS colours. You see there in that little battle pack, the 911's coming on to All Straight once more.
Another 2004 cars from here at the Le Mans 24 Hours back in the day. So then the earlier late 90s GT2 spec Porsches.
It's Heiko Osman in the pit lane, and those 911 GT2s really were the cornerstone of the BPR Global GT Series. Jürgen Barth knew exactly what was required and got Porsche to build a car, flooded the privateer market, and a series was born, and look what's happened to GT racing.
And actually, it was in those cars that one of the stalwarts of the Le Mans 24 Hours and the ACO platform was born with Proton competition back in the very late 90s. I think they've still got a couple of their cars from back in the day.
So Florent Moulin in the PlayStation colours on the Dallara comes through.
The Bentley's in for its stop.
So Sean Lynn pits. Mike Newton's coming under attack here as well, because Xavier Micheron, who has been pretty ruthless, as we've seen already, is closing that gap down to the MG Lola.
Mike, though, is catching Manu Collard here as well. In comes the Bentley. Had one of those two very evocative Peterson White Lightning cars that, Ollie, you'll be very familiar with from your time racing in the United States as well as here at Le Mans.
Yep, absolutely. They were a fantastic team and great car, iconic livery, and it's always run well.
I think both those cars raced in period by Johnny Molan.
Yep, yeah.
Is Mike Newton, he is catching Manu Collard. I think had a bit of a struggle in traffic. I wonder if that Porsche is beginning to get a little bit off song here.
Mike's taking Micheron with him as well, so those three concertinaing, aren't they now?
Yeah, Mike on the straights, by the way, is telling me well over 310 kilometres an hour still available from that little Lola MG.
Yeah, the Porsche doesn't look that settled. You know, the Collard car, it just looks, it does not take in the curbs very well, and it's got a lot of body movement on the brakes. And I think it does look a bit of a handful.
So Manu Collard's vast experience being put to good use here, but for the moment, Mike Newton not quite close enough to have a go. Replay here of, is that the Ditting Aston getting itself in strife, being forced out wide, and yes, losing the place. So Nicolaus Ditting drops back behind Dominic Rochman, and now we've got Martin Short up the escape road. So Shorty has had a drama coming down the Mulsanne, got a little bit close to Moulin and had to go to the escape road to avoid contact there.
We'll call that his Joker lap, but that's fine.
Okay, okay. Martin will tell you that never happened, so it's a good job there's evidence of that. There's the slow Ferrari back out again of Pascal Duhamel, which has got a problem, that early 360, which again was going back to NGT days, wasn't it, the 360?
Yes, it was. Yep. Here comes the Keeler down the pit lane, a unique car. And, DBR9 follows 550, two eras of Prodrive developed GT1, GTS cars. That's the 66 car. That was the car raced in period 2004 Le Mans by Alan Menu, Peter Cox, Thomas Enger. The other car that is here is the car that was raced here by Darren Turner and Colin McRae.
105 is Edwin Stucki's Viper. Back into the pits, as you see, has also come Pierre Bruno. The Bentley is back on track, so Sean Lennon has served his mandatory pit stop. Everybody has to serve a stop in this race. So far, James Cottingham fastest lap, and this great fight carries on. Nicolaus Ditting is determined to get the Aston back ahead, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. And the Prodrive boys, I'm sure that they're sitting there watching this, loving it, and maybe thinking, wow, are these two guys going to have a bit of contact? It's certainly back and forth.
Yeah. John Gore will be enjoying this, I'm sure, sitting in the Aston Martin racing pits on 2 grounds. He loves a good race, and there might well be parts to be sold.
Yes. How cynical of you. This is what the pit lane looks like at the moment. More and more of the stop cycling through, including there the Gulf-liveried Aston Martin. So Rel Goethe has done his work, and Stuart Hall takes it over. This looks like it might be a car with a problem, does it not? Because the Riley and Scott of Jean-Marie Muller has the engine cover off. In comes Moulin then, so the second place car bails for the pit lane. So Cottingham versus Short now. Martin Short promoted for the moment up into second place.
Cottingham's actually really getting away. He's pressing on every lap. It's he's a second or so, or a couple of seconds quicker. He's second and third.
Lest we forget, it was the Dallara, wasn't it, where Martin led a lap or two at Le Mans.
Yes, indeed.
Another great shots from overhead as the Chrysler entered car in period. Comes along, slips into pit lane behind the delayed Bilby. Quick drink.
Time to talk to the team and have a bit of a debrief.
I mean, that Moulin Dallara that you've just seen come into the pit lane is from 2001. Now, you don't think it's that long ago. It just doesn't feel, and looking at the shape, it doesn't feel it's that old.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't look like a 20-year-old race car. The GT battle is still on. I think we're going to be saying this a lot for 24 hours, but just to get us in the mood. Manu Collard has pitted, but Rochman versus Ditting, they're still hard at it. The Aston Martin then comes through. Nicolaus Ditting is a much improved driver, isn't he? He's got a lot quicker over the years.
Spot on, yeah. And as they all do with practice, fire spitting super.
That's Sohail Ayari, isn't it, who started in that car. And there is Florent Moulin ready to go. Mike Newton is in as well.
As is the earlier Riley and Scott just saw behind. I think it's one of the Will Taylor cars. One of a number of cars looked after by Scott Sport, Aaron Scott's effort. Aaron stepping away from pro driving this year to concentrate on pretty much this era of racing, plus some historic Formula 1 I know he's involved in. Preparing cars for others as well, including the Ascot collection. They've got 2 or 3 cars in this race.
Through the traffic comes the race leader, up the curve, James Cottingham, pressing on. Nicolaus Ditting is one of a number of drivers under investigation for a possible slow zone infringement. So having been talking about how well he's been doing, there's a Damocletian investigation there. 13 seconds the margin, as you see, between James Cottingham in the lead and Martin Short in second place. But really, we need to see where Martin is going to be relative to the traffic once all the pit stops have cycled through. But James Cottingham is driving faultlessly at the moment.
Slow zone coming. Slow zone 4. Next slow at Marshall's post 11. Slow at Marshall post 12, and that will be coming now.
And that's going to hurt those that are just coming out of the pits, because James Cottingham will have cleared that area.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's the first chicane, isn't it?
Yeah.
On Mulsanne.
Someone's had some dramas.
Yeah.
Sure, we'll see what's going on there sooner rather than later.
Oh, it's a bit of bodywork.
It's under tray, isn't it?
It's a big chunk of bodywork, that. And that shouldn't really be falling off, should it?
No.
They're not designed to do that, no. They don't get lights with it.
Yeah. It's not in the Haynes manual for the car, is it?
Collard's in the pits. There comes the Freisinger Porsche 2004 car, the 86 car.
That was an incredibly successful team, wasn't it?
It was.
In running Porsches in NGT. So there's Martin Short in that second place. Now, he's lost out a little bit in the first sector alone. He's 7 tenths down, but he's gained a couple of tenths back in the second sector. But Martin still hunting that podium. It would be a wonderful way to end the run of the car in his hands at Le Mans if it were to be a podium. Otherwise, Martin will have to keep coming back and back and back, and Mrs. Short probably won't agree with that. You never know.
Get it done, Martin.
Yes.
The 88 car, one of a pair of these cars that were campaigned in period by Roll Centre Racing, including 1 year with a Nissan engine in the back. Wasn't that successful? And very glad for my taste that the V10 Judd is back in that car. It is a glorious sounding machine.
It is. Yeah, Martin took it to a BRDC members track day 2 or 3 years ago, and so it was largely road cars or limited noise race cars. And Martin said, "I brought another car with me, but do you mind if I give it a run round at lunchtime, just on my own?" And the club said, "No, that's absolutely fine." And suddenly local residents thought, "What on earth?" Because this Judd engine, they thought it was Grand Prix weekend again or something.
With a crowd in mind, remind me of the all-comers race. Is it the Pomeroy at the end of the year? And I think he's raced in that.
No, you are right. He has raced it at the Walter Hayes Trophy, not the Pom. But yeah, that's in February, and it's a different sort of event. But he has raced it, yes, in the BRDC members races.
I think he also raced his LMP2 Radical in the day.
Yes, he did.
That one.
Yes.
There is Martin Short on pit lane. And the gentleman with the stopwatch standing behind is, I think that's Marcus Short. Or was it Morgan Short? His son's, by the way, named after a Morgan and a Marcos.
British sports cars, yes.
Dario's just on pit lane now.
Yep. So the Raleigh 3C, one of 2 of these cars in the entry.
And the leader is, sorry, Graham, so the leader is in as well, isn't he? James Cottingham's in.
Impressive stuff from James Cottingham, the first 25 minutes of that race. Pulled out a 13-second gap.
But James is just very, very good. I mean, it doesn't matter whether you throw him into an E-Type around Goodwood or this year, a GT3 Mercedes or something like this. Yeah. He delivers, and he rarely makes mistakes, actually.
Yeah, he's very versatile, he's very quick, and he's adapting to all kinds of different cars and bringing those different skills and applying them really well.
This Dallara, for example, he's taken up the hill at Goodwood. He ran it at Speed Week last year on the sort of sprint shootout that they ran on the race circuit. So he uses it as much as he can.
That's great to see.
Making way through traffic there, Sean Lynn, and has got a substantial advantage now over Milan in the chasing now, Dallara, with a Toyota between the 2 of them. Lapped Toyota.
So drivers at the end of their stint reflecting on what's been going on. The Toyota is not the most common of cars, was it?
No, I think this is the only one, certainly in Europe, of this kind of mark that's raced in period. Raced for a long time in FFSA GT. There is the other of the Riley 3Cs.
In a sense, that they almost echoed Oh, you see the Ferrari with some damage to the bonnet there. The pin has broken, it's peeling off. But the Riley and Scott, in a way, was a bit Can-Amish, wasn't it? You know, it was a big grunty engine in the back, a fairly simple shape, and it just had lots and lots of horsepower. It
did indeed, and it came along at a point where technology in LMP racing was just marching on. It sort of rather missed its time.
Yes.
The Riley Mark III, we've got one of those cars blasting past through the chicane at the moment, hugely successful in the United States. And a large number of those cars produced by Bob and Bill Riley.
Yes, when they tried to develop this car, it seemed that it was a bit of a step too far for them, and they never quite sort of gelled together, and also the development in open-top prototypes was just really going through the roof.
You've got this car, the place that this car's got in history. You see the narrow rear wing on this car. This car, it was sort of Maserati seeing what they could get away with in regulatory terms, raced very successfully with multiple championship wins and big race wins in FIGT, but was never permitted to race here because it didn't quite meet the the GT1 regulations. Had to be, you'll know a lot more about this than I do. You've commentated on these cars in period, David, a lot.
I thought they were fantastic cars, and in a way, the MC12 was what gave us the balance of performance.
It did, because absolutely.
The FIA and the GT Commission wanted Maserati in the sport, but said, if that's the car, you're going to do what Porsche and Mercedes did a decade or so before. So we need to do something to make the car competitive and others competitive with you. And that's why, as you say, the second generation of the car had that smaller rear wing just to curb the performance a bit.
And, you know, and BOP, you're precisely right. It was this car for which that process was developed. So if you like what you see in GT racing now and the closeness, you've got that car to thank. If you don't, you've got that car to blame.
Yeah. But certainly the Vitaphone Racing squad going off at FIA GT and then GT1 World Championship. I mean, Michael Bartels ran those cars very, very well.
Oh, yes.
You had JMB, you had the Sarah Free Play Team cars. You know, they were good cars in different teams' hands.
360 comes in for attention to that bonnet clip as Martin Short making his way through with the black Riley 3C now right behind him.
So that's Xavier Michron, who's jumped ahead of Mike Newton and has caught up to Martin Short. So
that's for position.
It is, and Michron is getting faster and faster and faster as this race goes on. He's doing a very good job. Replay here of, in fact, Martin Short going back ahead of him. So I think Michron had jumped ahead on the pit stop, but Martin puts him in his place, as it were, and says, I've raced this car in the 24 hours, don't you know? And I'll get my place back.
This is the Mustang, spent a little bit of time with the gravel earlier. And, yeah, the one of the two. Trouble for the #1 car.
That's Emmanuel Brigand, and he's in the gravel, and that's going to be a yellow, and that's at the chicane at the end of the lap, isn't it? Yes, it is. It's right opposite us, in fact, at the end of the lap. So in the gravel is the Porsche.
Yeah.
And you can see what he's done wrong.
There, wasn't it?
That's a bit like the Inception Ferraris incident of the other night in the 24 hours.
We're going to have 3 drive-throughs, by the way, for cars 18, 17, 77. 77 is Mike Yules. The 18... looking to find. That is the Porsche. Osmond's, that's right.
Yeah, the #1 car just looked like it got through that first part of the Ford chicane just that little bit too hot, and he just didn't slow it up enough. So then when he went to turn into the final chicane and take that first left, he was offline, too much speed, and then ran wide over the apex curve of the right and then into the gravel. So a little bit of a driver error there, it looks like.
Slow zone is coming, and predictably so, as they fire up the recovery vehicle. It's going to need help to get back out the #1 Porsche.
Martin Short is under investigation for overspeeding in the pit lane. So Shorty might have a bit of a finger wagging coming his way. Sean Lynn was on a demon lap here in the Bentley because he did an absolute best in the first sector, a personal best in the second, but he's been hit by a slower car and also a slow zone, a yellow flag at the end of the lap, so he goes through. But now Sean Lynn still chasing after James Cottingham, who has just come back into the race after his pit stop.
Shows how good that lap was going to be. It's still a fastest lap for Sean in the race, a 3:46.445. The gap, though, now up to 42 seconds. And that's not because of the pit stop. So somewhere, Cottingham has picked up something like 30 seconds on that Bentley.
Yes, and Martin's lost a significant chunk of time in the pit stop, or in and around that pit stop as well, because he was only a couple of seconds back from Moulin and Lynn before the stop,
and he's going to drop back further because he's got a drive-through now, as Martin Short. So I think the podium dream is over, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an extra minute in the pits. Now, is Martin in that bracket, David, to get the pit stop penalty for driving experience? It might be.
The way he was talking to me yesterday, he didn't suggest that was the case.
Now, Dario Franchitti, for instance, was 20 seconds quicker than Martin in the pit, so that indicates something more.
I think he's had a bit of a problem in the pit lane.
Yep. 13 minutes, almost a third of this race still to go. It's been very entertaining. And the #1 car, by the way, was stopped in the Ford chicane, about to get back underway.
And he just pulls right out in front of the Corvette.
You can't do that.
Oh, absolutely not.
Protest.
Yes.
Well, there's very few of those cars left raceable now, those Corvettes. Driving standards in the day were absolutely terrible.
There's very nearly one less.
Yes,
thanks to that Porsche, but that was the Porsche's fault. That was all happening out of our window that Ollie caught a glimpse of. James Cottingham then here in splendid isolation, isn't he? He's out on his own.
Should say, by the way, the two Corvettes you may have spotted out there, Callaway, I think, built GT3 Corvettes.
Yeah, the GT3 cars. Yeah, they're not the Pratt & Miller or Corvette Racing built cars. Yeah, yet to see one of those here in one of the Legends races. Hopefully that'll happen next year.
Well, plenty of them in private hands. We've actually had them racing in contemporary racing very recently, including GT1 cars balanced back for the 24 Hours of Dubai fairly recently.
This is what Ollie was talking about.
Yes.
Porsche gets going.
One, two, three. Where's the Corvette? There you go.
Oh, showered with gravel.
Yep. That's a feature.
I don't think he got the memo of...
Oh, dear me.
Then nearly has another off because he's brought so much gravel with him, he can't slow the car down.
Well, exciting couple of corners. Comes Martin Short through the second chicane.
I think driver of the #1 car needs to take a breath.
Yeah. The other driver that's lost out on all of this, and I think possibly he did serve longer in the pits, was Florent Moulin. Because given his experience, I think he might have copped for a longer pit stop. But Moulin has dropped to third, and he's 8 seconds now behind James Cottingham, and he was nowhere near that when we got the pit window open. So Moulin is another one that's lost out during that pit window. But James Cottingham is looking good thus far.
Just thinking back, you said it earlier, prior to the pit stops, James Cottingham did well off the previous slow zone, didn't he? Because he'd cleared that, and others were hitting it.
True.
But he took his pit stop under full green.
The driver of #1 Porsche has to report to the stewards after the race. I think we can work out what that's for.
Yeah, I think there might be a number of things that they're going to talk to him about, not just one.
It's just putting together the to-do list right now.
Yes.
And gently moving the biscuits away from the coffee, so it will be a meeting without biscuits.
Yes, indeed so. So the slow zone has worked in James Cottingham's favour, irrespective of his pace, but that certainly helped a little bit. This battle is still between Manu Collard in the Porsche and the Aston behind in the hands of Nicolas Ditting.
And we've got quite a battle with Franchitti catching Macari. So the 46 car of Macari and the 45 car of Franchitti are getting closer together, and I think that's going to end up in a nice little battle.
We've actually got two battles in GT1, albeit with three different classes involved here. You're right, the Joe Macari and Dario Franchitti battle. Then we've got the Manu Collard battle with Nicolas Ditting, which is 15 seconds further back, but they're nose to tail as well, albeit Manu in the GT1A class and the Aston Martin DBR9 number 27 listed as an invitational entry. This is the Rothko car.
That's now Stuart Hall at the wheel, isn't it? And there you've got the Vitaphone / Stracker racing car behind.
Indeed. Raced here in period in those colours.
Yeah. Peter Hardman, Nick Leventis, two of the drivers, weren't they, with Alexander Negrão.
And the GT2 Porsche battle. Nothing B about these BWPs. Boring white Porsche being something was often chucked into the mix, but they're in a fine battle. These are cars from different eras as well.
All towing one another along and each other a bit of a slipstream. Drive down into the second chicane.
Drive-through penalty for Andrew Lawley's car, the number 31. That's one of the two Peterson White Lightning cars that will be joining us back in pit lane for a quiet run-through to think about what he's done.
This takes you back, doesn't it? Porsche's all fighting amongst themselves.
Pit stops for cars 18 and 13 are under investigation as well.
Some rather creative lines coming through that second chicane. Guys trying to get a run, and some guys running a little bit wide, got in a little bit too hot. And yeah, it's but they're having brilliant fun. Great racing. It's great to see.
No, it is, absolutely, and it's good that the cars are being used, and
yeah.
I mean, obviously they have a value, but it's good that they are being used as they should be, and not just sitting in workshops and going up in value. Sean Lynn is behind all of this, and of course he's going to get delayed if he's not careful, trying to work his way through that battle pack, isn't he?
Maserati Epsilon Courage C65 there. Angolan flags on the end plates.
What happened to him?
Maserati?
Yeah.
Don't know.
Because he made a big splash for a short period of time and then went away, didn't he?
Ran on a factory Aston Martin Lola.
That's right, yeah,
That's the ex-JMW Motorsport 92 car there, one of the earlier editions of the Vantage GT2. Not that successful for what's been a very successful team of Ferraris. That's the ginger-headed stepchild of the team, I think is fair to say.
Emmanuel Brigon, that we saw in the gravel and then getting in the way and going off and being told to go and see the stewards, has also got a stop-and-go penalty.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is piling up for him.
Yeah. How was your Le Mans?
I got to meet lots of people.
Yes. And one of Freitas is nice.
Yes.
Quite. Standing on the naughty step for quite some time, isn't he?
I didn't realise you could put so many TVs in a single room. Oh, you've been to race control then, yes.
Right, Stuart Hall now pressing on in the Rothko Aston Martin. That puts him ahead of 66, the Dominic Rochman Ferrari, and this is how he did it. Nice move up the inside there.
Yeah, absolutely was.
And the Rothko collection, for those that don't know, the Goethe collection of Gulf liveried cars, and another one added to that this weekend with the family Goethe out in the Fun Cup. 5-hour race yesterday, great fun. 89 cars on the entry for that.
Dario Franchitti's got past Joe Macari, somewhere out there on track. He is significantly quicker than him. He's some 4 seconds a lap quicker than Joe in that Maserati. But so he's now taken the lead back in that GT1 battle.
2-minute stop time penalties are going to be added for pit stop infringements to the 18 and 30. Martin Short has rolled through pit lanes, so he must have been given a drive-through penalty, but has just put in the fastest middle sector of the race. That'll be the famous Short, how can we put this, spirit showing itself.
Indeed, indeed. Yes, he did cop that drive-through, you rightly say, and having done so, he's back on track. But James Cottingham, with 6 minutes to go, now just needs to keep out of trouble, doesn't he? Because he's under no pressure, and Sean Lynn doing absolute bests in the sectors. Mike Newton is a little bit lonely as well, but again, still going strongly.
Not for long, because he's got Martin Short right behind him. If Shorty might would have passed him by now. Let's have a quick look at as we get a longer shot here. We should see, there he is.
Oh,
this is a battle. This is a battle for 5th overall between two British stalwarts of sports car racing in the early part of this century. And both with not a little success. Martin Short, the Roll Centre team, multiple podium finishes in the Le Mans series. Mike Newton, 2 class wins here at Le Mans, and multiple class wins in international sports car racing in the Lolas and later the HBD that he campaigned. This number 25 car raced in period by Mike and by Tommy Erdos. Martin looking for a way by, but the little Lola is very quick in a straight line indeed. Part of the reasonably short-lived LMP 675 formula, designed to draw in perhaps smaller manufacturers with lighter cars, a little less power. But Martin, I think, is going to have the grunt to get this done.
Although Mike's not making life easy for him, it's a proper battle for position. They've also got to get through the traffic, so Mike is going to fight as much as he can. But yes, in terms of just the speed of the car, the power of the car, Martin Short's car will go through ultimately, and Mike gives him the room, but then thinks, I need to take the apex sooner or later, so stays ahead.
Great stuff. They're enjoying this, I'm sure. Past the MM Arena onto the Mulsanne Straight.
Gives you an idea of just how much more development has been done around Le Mans within the confines of the circuit, all the buildings, through the traffic, down the Mulsanne Straight. Mike Newton staying ahead, so Martin Short is having to work hard for this. He might do another of these demon outbreaks into the chicane. Mike Newton again, there's room there, but Martin doesn't commit to it.
The big strength of that Lola is straight line speed. Very, very fast in a straight line. Give you an idea, terminal speed for those cars, the 304.7 kilometres an hour for Mike Newton, 302 for Martin Short, 315, by the way, for Moulins de Lara, a little further up the road. Now we can see whether or not he can get in the tow, and is there space to do this?
Yes.
Great stuff. Gets it done.
Commits to the inside line, goes through, and that puts Martin Short then now back up into 5th place, but being mightily frustrated about that drive-through penalty for sure. And there's going to be one more lap at the end of this, I reckon. Sean Lynn is on for the fastest lap of the race, and he's absolutely hacking away at that gap. 40-odd seconds has become 33. He's not going to catch in time, but he's certainly having a good go.
3:46.9, that's something like 10 seconds off a good lap time period for those cars. That's not bad going, is it?
It's very strong performance. I think Cottingham's just really coasting to the finish here.
Yeah.
But let's see what Lynn does over the line this last lap through.
3:43.230. That's a very good effort from Sean Lynn.
And a yellow flag being waved as well, so there's been a drama up the road somewhere as they're going through Xavier Micheron, who's hanging on to that 4th place. Does make a great noise, that car, doesn't it?
It's fabulous. It's Dario Franchitti, by the way, 7th overall now.
And leading his class, so he's going to be on the podium as a class winner at this rate.
He's gone by the number 4 Rallian Scott as well. It's Joe Macari in the Maserati. And is this where there's been a drama? Big black lines being left by Joe Macari.
He's getting himself in there a little bit too quick.
So this is the race leader, soon to become race winner. James Cottingham making up for yesterday's disappointment, but he proved his pace yesterday. But a combination of a quick driver, bit of help from a slow zone and a yellow flag just at the wrong time for the opposition. But not suggesting for a moment that James has lucked into this, far from it, because this has been a very impressive drive.
Absolutely. He has fully executed and done everything correctly, not made a mistake. He did get a little bit lucky with his pit stop and this slow zone that was out, which certainly held up the likes of Lynn and Moulin and Short. But, you know, he has been the fastest car, really, nearly all of the race. And
Sean Lynn has done the fastest lap in this relentless pursuit. Yesterday's winner, and he's driving that car as it should be driven.
Wonderful to see.
It is, isn't it?
This has been a massively popular addition, it's got to be said, to the support.
Yeah.
I think that this is going to turn heads with the race organisers. Trouble, by the way, for the Toyota, which has got... It's the rear deck has come awry, and that car coming down pit lane looking slightly disassembled.
Slippery surface flag, so I think there's debris on the road rather than anything else for that yellow flag that we'd seen a little while ago. Yeah, I mean, the Group C race was always a head-turner when those cars came here, but that movement has sort of lost entries of late, and people are looking for the next new category, and this is it.
Yes.
And here you've got that choice of whether you want to go full-blown prototype or a GT car, which are a bit easier to run and drive.
There's lots of options, and
Indeed,
and there's lots of cars out there, and lots of people who want to just get these cars out and run them. And I mean, it's amazing to be able to come here to Le Mans, run on track the morning of the big race, and get some experience out there and run for 45 minutes.
And 2 races over a weekend, of course, and you can have a co-driver, you can change in the pits, or you can do a race each, however you want to do it. Split the costs accordingly. But James Cottingham here then, accelerating up towards the Porsche curves. He has relaxed his pace, and you can understand why, because he wants to take a race win here. And James, who's family big into the preparation of Ferraris, as we've been saying, is a very accomplished driver. Here is more evidence of it. He's heading up towards the checkered flag. The gap is coming down and down. 41 seconds, he's now down to 14. So Sean Lynn ain't going to be far away at the end.
No, he's not.
But as I say, James driving within himself. He's got the Corvette to negotiate in a moment, then the run down towards the Ford chicane. Make sure he's got plenty of room on the inside line. But James Cottingham then heads towards the end of the second Endurance Racing Legends race of the weekend. It has been an absolutely fantastic performance as he accelerates then from the final right-handed element onto the pit straight, up towards the timing line. Checker flag awaits, and James Cottingham in the Dallara wins race 2 for the Endurance Racing Legends, and Sean Lynn in the Bentley is going to be much, much closer at flag 40. Comes across the line, and the gap, Graham Goodwin, between the pair of them is
11.6, say 9.4 seconds. Sean was pushing there, and well, yeah, Jeremy was certainly cruising. I wonder if he did have a little bit of a problem right at the end of that. He didn't need to push. Sean certainly, I think, was looking for any opportunity that might present. That was a great race. I thoroughly enjoyed that.
And Florent Moulin here is set for third, and he is going very slowly, and he might not get third.
No.
He's in trouble.
He's limping to the line,
He's
that is
in
for
trouble.
sure. And it's going to be Xavier Micheron, who, if he's close enough, might mug him at the end. Moulin's just got enough pace to get it home, so he will hang on to third place, but it's a troubled third. Yeah, if James Cottingham did have a problem, it is tempting to suggest this is your fight for fourth now, Micheron versus Short. It might have been rising water temperatures again, like yesterday, and he was trying to make sure that he didn't stress it. But now, for position, Micheron versus Martin Short. Running out of corners, though, Shorty.
Yeah, what he doesn't want to do is what was done to him by Sebastian Bourdais in period in this car. Rough, somewhere around here, wasn't it? But Shorty walking away with a rather damaged ankle after a big shunt. Not of his own making. Can he do it in the final turn? They've got traffic ahead here. Fourth place could change hands here into or out of the full chicane. Shorty's looking for it to the inside. He might get this done.
Go on, Martin, send it. He does.
And he does.
Gets up the inside and he goes through then. So last corners of the last lap, Martin Short goes through up into fourth place. He's going to be denied the podium again, though, but a typical Martin Short drive. Attack, 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 all the way to the end.
I love that, and that will at least give him the consolation prize. He's not going to get a trophy. He will have a story for the Sunday dinner table.
Oh, yes, and it'll be a long one.
It will.
It'll be more than 45 minutes.
It will, it certainly will.
Yeah, yeah. All the adversity that Martin had to overcome, you know, for fourth place. Yeah.
Mike Newton not so very far back. He takes the flag to finish a fine sixth, and we're waiting for the GT race winner, and that will be Dario Franchitti.
I hope that's not Martin Short waving goodbye to Le Mans, but...
I hope not to.
Yeah.
It's what a glorious time we've had with the storylines from Martin down through the years.
And there was a documentary that was made about him, wasn't there? You can still get
was.
on
You
DVD,
can still get it.
showing the travails of a small team trying to get there. So, Dario Franchitti, he's going to be a class winner in the Aston Martin, and he has taken to this like a duck to water, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. He's driven brilliantly, and he's looks like he's been enjoying it.
Good to see a rookie doing well on his first appearance.
That's what you can do in retirement, isn't it? Go and win at Le Mans. So he sorts out the traffic as he comes up towards the line, gets past Colin Payton's Ferrari. Colin, a regular 1960s Porsche racer, but also got modern Ferraris, as you see. So Dario Franchitti wins the GT1B class. Manu Collard is going to win GT1A, and Joe Macari will be the runner-up in the... Or will he? No, he won't. Stuart Hall. Yes, no, Joe Macari fends him off on the last lap. So Joe Macari for second in class, and Stuart Hall in Royal Goethes Aston for third in GT1B.
Cracking stuff.
Absolutely.
And for me, with the formula proven, there will be more and more people looking to dust off some of the machinery that might be there as garage queens at the moment. So that's the damage to the rear of the Toyota. What happened here? I think it just blew off. It did. It's a feature.
Yes, and of all the places to happen, with all the Toyota Gazoo branding around it, yes.
Yeah. It's the automatic ventilation system in period on those was somewhat agricultural. There you go.
But it's good to have it on the grid, again, showing the variety that was around within this era.
Glorious stuff there, Martin Short. I think he'll have enjoyed the last part of that lap. Highly entertaining stuff, gentlemen, as they peel off to the Bugatti circuit, where they've got their paddock facilities here, and the end of two very entertaining endurance racing legends' efforts.
Big round of applause for the cars, the drivers, as they come into the pit lane. Manu Collard there being given a great reception. And the fans have certainly had a good start to the day. There's been a lively Porsche race, and then that endurance racing legends 45 minutes, second stanza of the weekend, to get them all in the mood before the 24-hour warm-up session, and then the Road to Le Mans races. Increasingly, Le Mans is becoming a race weekend, not just one race.
And it's great to see it. We've got, you know, a packed support program, even in the constrained weekend we've got here. We worked it out, something over 300 cars competing this weekend across the Le Mans 24 Hours, the Road to Le Mans, the Endurance Racing Legends, the Fun Cup, and the Porsche Trophy race that took place earlier this morning. And that's what I think the fans want to see, David, is variety out there and real competition. And that was a very spirited historic racing event.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you've got people that drove the cars in period and or have good CVs anyway, all adds to it, doesn't it?
It does.
we did have some good battles. We certainly had drivers that were trying hard. Even post-race, there are shuffles to the order because I think we've mentioned during the course of it that Heiko Osman was given a penalty for a pit lane drama, and so also Lee Maxted-Page. But James Cottingham wins then from Sean Lynn with Florent Moulin third. Martin Short fourth from Xavier Micheron and Mike Newton. A class-winning seventh, Dario Franchitti, and a class-winning eighth, Manu Collard, ahead of Joe Macari, and then Stuart Hall rounding out the top 10 in Royal Goethe's car. Nicolaus Ditting 11th. With Dominic Rochman 12th, Richard Mines in the Vitaphone liveried Aston Martin 13th ahead of Max Gerardo, and then Richard Cook taking 15th place in the Riley and Scott. And keep scrolling down, and you find Mike Yules down in 30th place. The McInerney is 31st. Lee Maxted-Page given a penalty, so he ends up in 34th place, and then one or two that were in strife and ended up being many laps down. Pierre Bruno battled on despite a number of dramas and delays with the Pilbeam, and Sean Lynn fastest lap of the race, just to confirm, in his dogged pursuit of race winner James Cottingham.
Excellent stuff. And with the Le Mans Classic due to rejoin the international calendar, I think we've got one next year and 2023, if I recall correctly. It's one of the ones that's been a casualty of the global pandemic, but I see this as being part of that too. I think we're going to see a lot more of these cars out there racing, so you can see, watch them and hear them trackside. Watch them online too, I'm absolutely certain of that. But great entertainment this morning. Sets us up nicely for the action to come.
I just need to be careful because obviously there are two historic racing bodies that operate series for these cars, that they're not over-exploited, they're not overused,
yes.
Because then the costs are going to go up. There's also more chance for damage, be it bodywork or mechanical, and when you get to that tipping point,
La première course donc de ce Mans classique. Attention à ce départ, tout ce passé qui va revenir à la surface, qui va revenir dans les mémoires de tout le monde, ici dans les tribunes du Mans.
Ready for the start of race 3. A door-handle race behind the leader. The racing is just as electrifying as it has been throughout the weekend.